Welcome into After Carmen. I'm Dan Hope. He's Andy Anders here at Ohio Stadium, where Ohio State made easy work of Purdue today, a 45-0 win over the Boilermakers. I mean, quite honestly, Andy, this is probably going to be one of our shortest After Carmens of the year. There's not really a whole lot to talk about with that game, but that's a good thing if you're the Buckeyes. That's exactly what you want if you're the Buckeyes. A game like this, you're playing the worst team in the Big Ten. You want a boring win. You want to just make easy work of a game and get out of there, take care of business, no major injuries, everything goes smoothly, and that's exactly what we got out of the Buckeyes today. Just a well-rounded game from start to finish, and certainly, you can't ask for a whole much better score at the end of a day than 45-0.
Yeah, boring is one word, methodical is another, I think, to describe this one for Ohio State. Just systematically really took Purdue apart. Defense, another dominant showing, back-to-back games where they haven't allowed a touchdown now to the opponent. And special teams, really nice step today, I thought was one of the, if you're talking about big takeaways, maybe things we haven't seen from Ohio State before, blocking a punt for the first time since 2022. Jaden Fielding sinks another field goal. Just overall, really good special teams play today from Ohio State and really kind of made it a complete team win, getting that punt block and having the success you had on the defensive side of the football. Offense, maybe some issues running it in stretches, but overall, Jeremiah Smith goes and gets the last two freshman records he was after from Chris Carter there, gets the receptions record, gets the touchdowns record for a single season from a freshman. And Will Howard had a really efficient day throwing the ball. Missed on one deep shot to Carnell Tate, but outside of that, really a lot of success throwing the ball for Ohio State in this one. And still found some success on the ground overall, I think, in stretches of this game. Just some, ebbs and flows, especially on running it with Quinshawn Judkins, where they didn't really find their footing at times on the ground. But overall, again, I thought pretty complete, systematic breakdown of a Purdue team and made it an afternoon snoozer.
Yeah, the most important thing today was, getting out to a good start. Not making this game a letdown kind of game, a game that was closer than it should have been, and it never was that. There was the one moment there late in the first quarter where Ohio State throws a really experimental defensive lineup out there. They've got Mitchell Melton in at jack. They've got a lot of backups on the field, and Purdue drives it down the field to the 3-yard line. But theme of the day for Purdue, they had 3 scoring opportunities. They didn't convert on any of them. Ohio State gets its second shutout of the year. It's the first time since 2014 that Ohio State has had 2 shutouts in the same season, and 2014 was a pretty good year for the Buckeyes. So we'll see if this one can end the same way for Ohio State. But yeah, I use the word boring, but I mean that boring in a good way.
Right.
Sometimes it's good to have a boring win, and again, it's not a negative in any way, because it was boring because the Buckeyes made it that way, because they played well in all phases of the game. They were in complete control of a game. There was no drama. You think back to that game against Nebraska 2 weeks ago, which felt like it was a lot closer than it should have been. This game had none of that. It's exactly what you want if you're Ohio State. I think one thing that was really good in this game was both of the defensive ends having big days. JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer, most notably teaming up for a touchdown as JT forced a fumble, Jack scooping up the fumble and returning it for a touchdown. And our last call piece that we do on Saturday mornings, I had identified Jack as my player to watch because you think back to last year. It was kind of a similar year for Jack the first couple months where it's like, we're waiting to see Jack make more big plays, live up to that 5-star hype. And I think at least the last few weeks had kind of felt that same way for Jack, where, hadn't got on the stat sheet much. You're kind of waiting for him to make more big plays. And then today he does that. And you feel like maybe this could be the start of another November surge for him where he really finishes the year strong. To go along with J2, I think, really the last 3-4 weeks has played fantastic football.
Absolutely. Second half today, really felt him and had some other quarterback hits that forced incompletions. Defense as a whole really got after the quarterback in this one. And I know it's Purdue. I know their offense has struggled all season. But really good signs the last few weeks talking about this re-engineered defense from Jim Knowles, going back, looking over what went wrong in the Oregon game. And since then, you've given up 1 touchdown on that side of the football. And really just developed this pass rush around more creative fronts, more creative pressures. Sent a number of creative blitzes today, and Cody Simon and the linebackers also got off after the quarterback, I thought, on the rush. And so just really opening up the playbook has helped open up this pass rush for Ohio State, and it continues to pay dividends week in and week out. And to your point, really helps when you get quality defensive end play, not just against the pass, but that scoop and score came on a running play where JT blew it up in the backfield, punches the ball out, and Jack scoops it and runs for a touchdown. And so really love the way that Ohio State has re-engineered this defense. Going to have bigger tests down the road here, but have to like a complete team win, it felt like today against Purdue.
A bigger test down the road in 2 weeks when Ohio State plays Indiana, but there's been one of the best offenses in the country so far this year. One more, what we think should be a tune-up kind of game next week. Wrigley Field will be there, so that'll be pretty cool having that backdrop next week, won't it, when Ohio State plays Northwestern in Chicago, noon game on the Big Ten Network. So we will be there in Chicago. Lots more coverage coming of Buckeyes versus Wildcats next week, coming from today's game against Buckeyes versus Boilermakers. Again, a dominant 45-0 victory for Ohio State, who improves to 9-1 and continues to control its own destiny in the Big Ten championship race. They're in November. It's that stretch part of the season. They just got to keep taking care of business week after week. They did that today. Like you said, bigger tests to come, but did exactly what they needed to do to get a win in this one. So that'll do it for this week's episode of After Carmen. We'll catch you next time.